in this video, we're going to be going over the 7-point rule that we integrate for all of our clients. Now, you may be asking, what the heck is a 7-point rule? And the 7-point rule is essentially having 7 points of contact with a lead within 7 days. So we actually follow up with our clients through a multi-channel approach, through Google Ads, Facebook Ads, GDN, Audience Network, emails, text, automated voicemails. But regardless, the hierarchy tells us that we need at least 7 touch points within 7 days to make sure we stay on top of mind. So we're going to be going over how we do it, how the system all works within one, and how the numbers break down so that you're actually making more money month over month because all the follow-ups proceed to the next month's cash collected, and then you end up closing more and more deals. So it's like a compounding effect. We'll get into real details, but I'm excited to jump in. Make sure you put aside 20-25 minutes. I will be getting into detail and we will see you inside. All right, guys. So the 7-point rule is pretty straightforward. And I don't want you guys to put too much emphasis on the number 7. The whole point of this analogy, this concept, this thing that we do for all of our clients is that you need to follow up with existing leads. If you look at your databases from all the contacts that reach out to you, whether it's through an online submission form, flyers, referrals, and the amount of deals that you close, that discrepancy is very worrying. And you could bring that number down. So the ratio from prospects to closed deals, the idea is to bring that number down so you close more of your deals of prospects that are already in your ecosystem. So you don't have to pay money to acquire them. You just have to pay money for the softwares to facilitate the work to it, which is 10-15 bucks a month. So it's really not that expensive. And this is all really powerful because again, you're not paying for a new customer. 2, you don't have to sell yourself. You just need to follow up in a very appropriate and strategic way. And number 3, it's very cost efficient. You're paying very minimal for the softwares to follow up with the client. You don't have to sell somebody really hard. They're already in your ecosystem. So you just need a way to combat that, cold feet and bring them back as a hot prospect and eventually close them as a deal. So as you can see here, the 3 main platforms that we focus on is Facebook, Google, and Instagram. We don't use any third parties. We don't use GDN, Google Display Network. We don't use Audience Network on Facebook. We just focus on the feeds of Facebook and Instagram, and then we focus on high intent search terms on Google. Okay, that's where your most high valuable, high intent customers are. The whole point is to drive them to an opt-in page. And I do have some notes here. So Facebook, Instagram, and Google AdWords, where you'll find the best quality prospects. In Google and Facebook, you have the options to choose placements outside of the networks, which is the biggest mistake I see advertisers do. You want to focus on main channels only, which is what I just touched on. So if you ever go to the Facebook advertising platform interface or Google advertising interface, they will give you options of, do you want to advertise on our third-party channels? Do you want to advertise on Audience Network? You always want to say no to that and just focus on the main channels. All right. So Facebook newsfeed, Instagram newsfeed, and only high intent Google search keywords. Okay. Now, if you advertise directly to an appointment, your advertising will fail. So what I see a lot of people do is they'll put an ad and then redirect the prospects and all the traffic to an appointment page where they book an appointment. But what makes you so different from every other advertiser who's doing the, essentially the same thing? I mean, you're not warming up the prospects. You're not providing them any value. You're not really offering any sort of incentive or market offering. You're just saying book a call with us or quote unquote free consultation, which I've always talked in a lot of my videos, how that could be the most detrimental mistake you could do in your advertising. So what we do for our clients is we drive them to an opt-in page where we could collect information right off the bat with the least amount of friction. Name, number, email. Either we have a note section or exactly like, if we're advertising for a window and door company, we ask them how many windows that they're looking to replace. That kind of question is refined in our onboarding process where we further understand what are the bottlenecks within the sales process and what kind of information the salesperson needs on that initial call. So the opt-in page allows you to ask for information, but without too much of an ask. If you've ever done any sort of training, it's always you want to give more than you receive. So you want to be able to provide lots of value. You want to give a really, really amazing market offering to these prospects, like 40% off or 0% financing for 48 months, whatever the case is, and say in return, I just need your name, need your email, phone number, and then, tell me a little bit more about the job. And then that's why we're able to get leads for sometimes $15 to $45. And these are like qualified leads. These are the type of leads that you'll call them and you could have conversations with them. They'll answer the phone and so on and so forth. So now that we've funneled it down, right? So we have our traffic sources here. And now what we want to do is we want to drive it down to the opt-in page where we collect some some basic information. Now we're going down the funnel and we're redirecting them to a calendar form. So it's like, listen, put your information, but if you want a specific time to speak with a specific salesperson about your specific problem, then here's a link where you could book a call. The conversion rate from opt-in page to calendar is about 20 to 30%. So about 30% of people who put in their information on the opt-in page will book a Calendly call. So now that our clients come in and see that, now we have phase one of customers, which are from the opt-in page, and then two are people from the calendar. So the opt-in page, you could call them at any time. They're put into a different email sequence. And then the calendar, they're a lot warmed up because they're telling you that, listen, not only have I put in my information for you guys to call me at any time, but I want to talk to an advisor on your team at a specific time. I want to talk about the home renovation project that I'm thinking about, or how many tilt windows, how expensive is it going to be? Can you give me further information? They are extremely warm, right? So now we have two divisions of prospects that we could reach out to. These ones automate in our Google Calendar, so we know exactly when to call them first thing in the morning. And people who just went through the opt-in but didn't fill a time in the calendar, they will be sent an email series, a retargeting series, a whole bunch of things to make sure they are still warmed up. But regardless of where they fall off in this process, these arrows should be placed to both opt-in page and calendar because they're both prospects. Just the people who booked a certain time are a lot more warmer. They're typically convert to a sale at a much higher rate than a regular opt-in page lead. Regardless, we still show Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google ads to these prospects. So we still show them ads even though they became a lead. Now, the caveat is we start to introduce Audience Network and Google Display Network. What this does is it allows you to take up 99% of the entire internet. Facebook, Instagram, Audience Network, Google Display Network, and the respective networks that allow you to advertise on their websites. You are pretty much showing your ads to 99% of placements of where your prospects are going to be. So because they went to the opt-in page and calendar, they are tagged through our pixel tracking. We show them a lot of ads, direct call to actions, case studies, testimonials, value bombs, before and afters, and they're pretty much seeing ads within the next 7 to 14 days consistently, day after day, probably a few times a day actually. So by the time you get to this point where you call them, they are warmed up. They know who your brand is, because if you've ever done digital marketing or any sort of marketing for your home service business, you'll realize that a really big chunk of leads will either not pick up, or they'll be like, oh, I totally forgot about you guys, or when did I submit my information? I don't remember. And that's because you got their information and then you stopped showing them who you really are. We are still building you as the most trusted service provider, as the authoritative figure every step of the way up until 6-7 months. Emails, voicemail drops, phone calls, SMS messages, social retargeting ads. So because we're making you the authoritative figure, when you call them, you'll often hear them say, oh, I just saw your email. Oh, I just saw your video ad. And be like, yeah, no kidding, because that's what I meant to do. We scroll up here, I put, once they become a lead, they're now tagged, spelled tagged wrong, they are tagged internally in our system. We now remove the offering from their marketing and focus on authority-focused advertising. This way, they aren't too focused about the offering on the call, but just happy to be on the phone. So remember here, we talked about having a market-dominated offer, about giving more than receiving. But after they become a lead, we're not too focused on the offer because we don't want our entire conversation on the phone to be, oh, can you tell me about the 30% off on your installation cost, or about the 0% appraisal? You want to use that as backup just in case the lead falls short, right? So everything past the post lead is strictly value bombs and just showing them why they should do business with you. That's why our clients' lead to conversion rate is very high, because it's all the signs that you're playing on. So I'm going to reiterate myself. So you'll often hear customers, when you call them, say, oh, I just saw your ad, I just saw your video, I just saw your testimonial. And funny enough, it is literally all planned out, because once a lead comes in, and capturing lead is really the easiest part, but once a lead does come in, they're seeing so many videos, they're getting a ton of emails, and they are put through a sequence where they get 7 touch points within 7 days. That way, when you call them the first time, you call them the second time, you follow up with them, you know, they've seen your brand over and over again, so they know who you are, they trust you as a byproduct of seeing you so often, and then the odds of them becoming an end customer are a lot more likely just because of the nature of our marketing. Now, we do not stop there. So whether they fall off on the opt-in opt-in page or the calendar, we send them to a confirmation page. After they fill them, they become a lead. We consider them a lead to our system, and we tell the system we want to send them about 12 to 15 emails. So depending on the strategy, setup, and sales cycle, we might increase emails, again, don't know how to write, emails to 15 emails and expand it from just a 6-month series. So we send emails for up to 6 months, 12 emails, and we might increase the threshold to 8 months. And emails are not offer focused, but they're educational, they're interesting. And initial goals of emails are, one, to get the prospect to open email, to read the content, right? That's first thing. If they don't open the email, then they're not reading the content. And then two, to get the prospect re-engaged back as a warm lead. Now, sometimes our clients ask us is that if leads actually follow through and they paid us and they're really good and they're still receiving emails, is that a bad thing? Absolutely not. You could most definitely send them emails. So if you guys want this workflow sent to you guys, more than happy to send it over to you. If you're currently running an advertising campaign for your business, you could kind of reflect this to your own marketing team, whether it's an internal or external, and tell them to somehow incorporate some of the things post lead for your advertising efforts. So I created this example sheet, but this is how the reality is for a lot of our clients. It's a more visual focused way of showing you the compound effect and how advertising is more compounded and linear by nature. So month one, you're obviously not going to see nothing. You have to spend a $4,000. This includes fees, softwares, advertisements, but you're not getting any leads because this is your brand awareness stage. This is where you're starting to kind of show your brand to these avenues, whether it's Google, Facebook, or both. And so you're not going to see anything. Therefore, your revenue is in the negative. In month two, so after 60 days, so by the 60th day, you should have about 20 leads, 4 appointments. You've lost 10, and the other 6 are kind of like in the pipeline and they're not really ready to proceed, but they're, you're unsure. So we put 6 as like the miscellaneous type of customers. So you have 4 appointments, you lost 10 or 10 of them, and 10 of them went cold. You won 1 out of the 4 appointments. 1 from the previous months is 0 because you had 0 from month 1, and therefore your spend was $4,000. Your revenue was $11,000. The average job is $11,000 from all of our clients combined. We've seen clients close jobs upwards of $160,000. So $11,000 for an average cost per job is incredibly conservative. So revenue is $10,000. Your 30-day ROI is 275%. Your total ROI is about 275% for the entirety of the month. So 30-day ROI would be from the leads that come in, and then 1 from previous would include to the total ROI. That's why it's the same. Then we move into month 3. Now the advertisements are getting a lot smarter. The sales process, you're still trying to understand how exactly to kind of coordinate the sales specifically for online leads. So you get 40 leads, so you double your rate in leads. Your appointments become to 13, so your appointment to lead ratio, it's improved, but nothing crazy. You won 1 only still, but you won 1 job from the previous month, so that puts you at 2 jobs. So that's $22,000 because $11,000 is our average job. So now you have $22,000 in revenue. You spent $5,000 because we increased our ad spend by $1,000 or additional expenses occurred elsewhere. Your 30-day ROI is 220% from the leads that came in within the last 30 days. Your total ROI is 440% because you closed 2 deals. 1 from the previous month, right? That ended up closing, and then 1 from the previous 30 days. You see how the compound effect is in full play? Now, month 4, your appointment rates go up to 49 leads. You have 13 appointments still. You're still on the bottleneck of really refining the sales process and getting really good on the phone. You lost 18, you won 5, you won 3 from these last 2 months. And so your total expenses were $6,200. Your revenue was $88,000, right? Because $11,000 per job times 8 is $88,000. Your 30-day ROI is 887%. And your total ROI is 1,419% because you're closing deals from previous months, right? By utilizing the 7-point rule, by making sure that all existing leads keep seeing advertisements, they keep seeing emails, they keep getting texts and phone calls, right? So now the compounding effect is in serious play. Now, month 5, your leads rise up to 52, right? So you're capped at your cost per lead, which is normal. Your appointments go up by a lot now. So you get an extra 6 appointments with only 3 extra leads because you're understanding how to conduct the initial phone calls a lot better. And again, you're just understanding how these prospects work out and what things to say on the initial phone call. Your lost is 31. You won 7 from these existing 52 leads. You won 4 from the last 3 months, and your spend was $7,400. Again, total advertising costs, softwares, etc. And your revenue is $121,000 because you've had a total of 11 closed, 7 and 4, and then $11,000 is your average job. So that comes out to 11,000 times 11. Your 30-day ROI is 1,033%, and your total ROI for just the see for the entirety since the last 4 months, well, 5 months, but we didn't get anything from here, is 1600%. You guys start to understand the importance of a compound effect by utilizing a multi-channel approach. This is important. This is not some sort of diagram that we just put together. This is literally what we do. This is what we actually follow for all of our clients, whether they're consulting or in the home service space. Post lead is more important than acquisition. If you were to talk to any business owner, honestly, getting leads is not really the hard part. It's not. You're a service provider. You're in business of needs. People need your service, right? So if your targeting is just on point and you know how to find your people, you're good. But it's all about the post lead. It's about what you do post lead. It's about how much value you propose to the clients. Now, I showed you this example, which is all great and all, but let's get into a few examples of our clients. Okay, so this is one of our clients who just started with us about 5-6 weeks ago. They have about, they have about 28 leads. All right, 28 leads for the first month or so. So it's a little bit slow in terms of their lead rate because they've been with us for about 6 weeks. Typically, our clients see about 50 leads. They're in the Florida market, so it's a little bit more competitive than usual. But as you could see here, they've closed one job for $37,000. Okay, $37,000. This is updated a few days ago, so we need to add. They're spending about $80 a day. So we'll put 160. So we'll put 300. And so you see how that changed to 1600%. They're on a 1600% ROI just from closing one job. Even if they were to close one job for $11,000, let's see what it comes out to. 489%, which is more similar to the example that we showed you guys. They close one job for $37,000. They could go for the next 2 months without closing any jobs, and they'll still be at a net profit considering our management fee as well. $37,000. They got to do that once a month, and they're solid. So this is one of our other clients. I literally cannot scroll to the left because there's addresses and confidential information everywhere. So you can see we're on column G. They have addresses and sensitive information. Don't feel comfortable showing that, of course, but they've collected 167 leads. They've done 495,000 in revenue. They literally just put their revenue statuses here, and they only have been working with us just under 4 months. So total return on investment is 6,000%. And as you can see, that just the jobs are massive, right? We auto calculate the value per close deal, and it's $27,000. So I put it $11,000 because you may be in HVAC or you may be, windows and doors, but you don't really typically take on the full home window replacements. So I say $11,000 an average job as very, very conservative. And realistically, they're about $15,000 to $25,000 for the average job. So this is another client. They have gotten 82 leads. They've been working with us for about 9 weeks. They're in the home renovation space. As you can see, our campaign names, we have inspiration based, before and afters, bathroom, all offer focus, kitchen focus. This is what it takes to see success, is aptitude of testing. So they've gotten about 83 leads. Or 82, sorry, because the first two rows are not leads. And then they closed one job for $165,000, which was 2 full floors of complete home renovation. They spent only $1,950. Again, this is we update these every week, so this is about $2,200. So even if we put $2,300, they're still at a net ROI of 7,100%, a value per lead of $2,000, and a value per closed deal of $165,000, because this is one giant job. So some of our clients, they see a lot of $10,000 to $20,000 jobs, and they're happy closing 5 to 10 deals a month. Or some of our clients are 30, 40, 50, obviously $160,000 per job, and they're happy to close one of these every 2 months. And the end goal is to be at a net profit, but it's important that you're utilizing the 7-point rule. So it's different from just collecting a lead, but following up with the lead with different angles and different approaches, so that way when you call them, they know exactly who you are, they're familiar with your offering, and they're ready to do business with you because they've seen you so many times. Is where you win the game of marketing. All right, so I hope you guys found this video valuable. If you guys have any video suggestions, just put in the comments below, and I'm more than happy to make videos on your recommendations. If you have any questions or you'd like to schedule a call with my team, there's a link in the description below where you can chat with me or one of my colleagues personally one-on-one, where we could build a roadmap for your business, whether it's putting you on Google, whether it's putting you on Facebook, or providing you with a multi-channel approach based off your budgeting and service area. We really need to understand what your goals are. So if you want, schedule a call now. We have some openings for the next 3 days, and we will talk to you soon.